Welcome back, y'all. I'm Dee, and this is the Unguided Life, where I am taking it one day at a time, bring guys along for the journey to hold me accountable as I budget my way through life. And sorry about that extra shake. We need to go ahead and close out our January budget. Because we've been doing weekly check ins, it has been fairly easy for us to determine where we're at when it comes to closing this out. So we don't need to go through the spending records, the trackers, or even the weekly check ins. We just need to see exactly what we actually did in January, what we could have done better, and how's it looking for February. So I wanted to pop on here real quick because I wanted to be able to show this year how I close on my budget in digital format. I was going to use every dollar because that's what I use, but I used the pay version and it has like my personal information. So I decided to do away with that. And luckily, well, when I say do away with that, that idea, I'm still using it. But what I wanted to actually do is use the expense or the annual budget that I bought from Tasha with tashaloveslife.com and Mind Your Money. All I did is just took the two worksheets, the expense and the income, and just put them in another um, spreadsheet that I had that I called the annual monthly expenses. And we're going to just talk about the expenses. So you'll know the expenses and the income. So you'll know is this is what you will see when I budget. So the numbers will be the same. Two is what I'm going to do is if there's no change to that expense, I'm just going to say same and we're just going to move on. It's going to make it quick, I promise. So giving was the same, auto insurance was the same, car note was the same for the month of January. For credit card number one, it was $220. Credit card number two was $113. Credit card number three, even though it's due in September, it's due in January. It's not part of January budget, so we're not going to account for it. Credit card number four was $94. The electric bill. So I received a credit of so that credit reduced how much I paid for my monthly budget amount. So I only paid 45. Internet was the same, life insurance was the same, OnStar was the same, phone bill was the same, rent was the same, renter's insurance. So I end up only paying $150. I did budget the 286 because I thought that's how much I'll need, but I did find I did just finally choose a provider and paid for that policy for a year. Storage was the same. Student loans, again, it's due in January, but not part of the January budget, so we're going to put zero there. Then we have TV subscriptions was the same. The VPP insurance was the same. The water bill was actually 39. We often overestimate the water because we just don't know what that toilet gonna do, but we've been really, really good about catching it and not letting it get that high. So we're on to something, okay? And extra debt payment, I was able to put $200 towards extra debt payment. And then I'm glad I made a spot, like left a spot there because I needed to put a place for miscellaneous because we do have miscellaneous expenses that don't fall underneath a category. And that this month was $65. The gym membership, I allocated 39. 39 was allocated to a gym membership. Okay. Maybe not be the one that I was planning to, but that money was used towards the gym fees. No annual subscriptions. The emergency fund, I didn't put anything towards that. And I think I'm going to change that from emergency fund to savings, but we won't do that right now. The envelope system, and I actually spent $513. When we go back to the category view, we'll talk a little bit more about that. The sinking funds was actually $497. Again, we'll talk about that when we go back to the category view. So $3,911 was the total for expenses. So let's look at the income. Let's see if we had enough income to cover that. And we did not. If that was truly my income, I would have been over budget by $67. But because I use real numbers and I know that when I estimate my income is definitely lower than what I'm expecting to receive. So for income one, which is what I receive from my employer, I received $3,431. Income number two is my stipend, and there was an increase in the stipend and so that total is $153. So my plan was to be able to bring in at least $500 from variable sources. Well, I would like to say that I did actually bring or make at least $500, but all of it didn't hit my account for my January budget, so I'm not going to count it at this present time. So we're only going to talk about what was received and what was used. And the total was $327 of variable income. And as you can see, every dollar was accounted for. Nothing is remaining. And that's what we like. So let's go ahead and get back to our category view where we'll talk about what I did with that extra income that came in and how did that look from what I budgeted and what actually I made, and looking at the percentages to see if that made any difference in each category. And I know you can hear that. If it's not the phone ringing, it's someone. I don't know if that's the fire truck or if that's the police or if that's an ambulance. I don't know. But I heard it. I know you heard it. So, yeah. And then we'll just discuss how I feel about my January budget. And we'll close it out because we're already in our February budget. All right, y'all. Let's get back. So, let's start with the income. I did tell y'all we're going to change things up. And if you've seen the February budget with me, you've seen that I had an extra spot to put the income I actually made. And then I told y'all that I also made some more changes. So it's going to look different in March as well. It's totally fine. That's, like I said, the methodology can change. Consistency, that's where we need to be at. And that's want to be consistent budgeting no matter what method I use. So with the income, the total amount of income that I actually brought in for the month was a total of, sorry about that, $3,911. How did that look, or what happened when that extra came in? What did I do with it? So let's start with giving. There was no changes to giving, and the reason is because the money that came in, it didn't require for me to apply it to any form of giving. I didn't have to buy any gifts, so that didn't change. For housing, that didn't change either, so the extra money didn't need to go towards that. For lifestyle, no changes there as well. For savings, no changes, so that money didn't go towards that. When it came to insurance, we knew that we wanted to pay the value of personal property, and we know we had in mind to pay the renter's insurance. We just didn't know how much. So when the dust cleared and when I did my income breakdowns, we did see I had $158 left over that I wanted to actually allocate to the renter's insurance, and I was able to get the renter's insurance for $150. So this brought this amount up to $485. Now, when it came to debt, initially with the debt, for the extra debt, I only allocated $30 based on the budgeted income I was expected to come in, but I was able to add additional to the debt. I was able to make a larger debt payment, and you should have seen that. And so the total that I actually went to debt was $972 total. Then for the envelope system, I did discuss that the $158, only $150 went there and $8 went here. So that's $513 that I actually spent in the envelope system from the actual income I received. Then when it came to the sinking funds, a good chunk went into the sinking funds. the extra that I received, and that was $497. And it's because the extra I received was earmarked for one of my sinking funds. So that's, I sent it to it. So that's $497. So we just want to make sure that our numbers add up, because I am a human and I make mistakes. All right, so that's good. So let's talk about the percentages. So that's 334 divided by 3911. So that is 8. Oh, let's change it. Let's not use this pen here. Now, where the pen at? Now, did Pop come and move this pen? Oh. Papa like, you still blaming stuff on me. I ain't even there, Mama. Okay, so that's 8.5. Then we can just put 0 here. And then 855 divided by 3911. So as you can see, as I'm updating the percentages, some of them have dropped, but the amounts that I allocated to these categories are the same. And the reason is that I didn't add nor take away from these categories, but I did bring in more. So that's what led to the percentages dropping. And as you can see, 13%. So it went up 4% because 197 was allocated to sinking funds, whereas 170 was allocated to the debt, and 150 was allocated to insurance, and then the $8 was allocated there. So that's what made up the difference there. And we're just going to check our math and make sure that, and I hope I explained that you understand 100%. And so that is how our budget look. I think personally, and before we get all the way into that, let's go back to our goals. We got to know what we were working with. So we needed to finalize our renter's insurance, and I'm going to put a check here because we did that. And then extra debt payment to the car loan, I was able to do that as well. I was able to send an additional $200. Well, $200 from the budgeted amount, $280.14 from my I don't want to say earned income, out of my savings that I sent. So of this budget, only $200 extra went towards it. So that was good. I didn't have a specific amount. I just wanted to make sure that when it was coming in, I was sending it to where it needs to go. And that's what I did. So I'm happy to say that. So how did January go? And I want to say January went well. One is I didn't go over budget on multiple accounts with my spending record. I only went over budget in personal, and it was only 28 cents, which honestly, if I went to my car, I probably could find that 28 cents and we wouldn't even know that I went over budget. And then 2, let's see where we were at with that. What else? I think I did good with my expense tracking for my credit card. I think I did really good with making sure I was making payments every week and making sure that I was making the most, not the most, but I was doing my best to only use the credit card when I needed to and for cover expenses. So somewhere I'll show in each category how much I spent on my credit card, and maybe I didn't do well when I do that, but we will see. You be the judge of that, because I'm closing this out. I may come back and say something about it, but I'll show in each category how much was allocated from the beginning of this budget to the end of the budget. Not allocated, but spent on a credit card from the beginning of the budget to the end of the budget, and then work on making sure we don't duplicate that in February if it was horrible, because we don't want to make it horrible. We don't want to be making all the mistakes. We want to keep our credit card balances low. And yeah, so that's what I think went on in January. I think I did really good. I would give myself an A+. When something came in, like bad news came in, good news came in ×2. And I'm going to be forever grateful, and I thank the Lord for looking out for his child, because sometimes I'm really hard on myself. I don't always say it, but my actions show it. And I was getting down on myself in some areas in my life, and I was like, you know what, D, get it together. Get it together. Everything gonna be all right. Place all your worries in the men above, and don't worry another day about something that you cannot change. I'm going to close it out as I'm going to close out my January budget. All right. In the meantime, in the between time, y'all, peace.